Hello, it's Brent Bowers with Bowers Percentage Running. Hey, just want to let you know I am so happy to just be able to run. Running is my passion, and I really shudder to think what kind of emotions I'll have when I'm not able to run. Have been going through a little bit of a bad patch lately, and but last year has been pretty good, and I'll take a few steps back and just cherish what I have, and not to get too greedy, as I always preach. So I love running, and my sole method here of bringing you these videos is to just give you another option of training if you care about any specific type of training. If you don't, if you're a person who just wants to enjoy your running and you don't have any aspirations of going to Boston or setting a 5K or 5K, 10K PR, whatever it may be, then simply enjoy your running and just go with it. If you feel like running hard, run hard. If you want to run easy, run easy. If you want to stop and smell the roses, go right ahead. For those who would like to reach different kinds of goals, time goals instead of just maybe life goals, it can be done in a variety of ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as everyone has heard. I'm just here to offer another route, or a route that some of you may have not considered, or maybe you've heard about and it's just too tough to do. So I mentioned yesterday, Bowers Percentage Running: control, consistency, confidence. That is my motto. Corny, whatever you think of it. I believe in it. It's the way I coach now. It's the way I run most of the time. Occasionally I get carried away myself because I love to run fast as well, as relative as that may be. As I mentioned yesterday, I was going to explain how we can get started with a control, consistent, and confident running pattern. So what we want to do, let me take this off, the control, consistency, confidence. What we want to do is establish how fit we are. And the 10-minute time trial, you probably heard of it. 8-minute time trial, 10-minute time trial, 12-minute time trial, mile time trial. It's a baseline. It's 8 to 10 minutes could be considered your VO2 max if it's ran properly. But let's throw out the VO2 max terminology and just say it is a baseline. So establish a baseline through a 10-minute time trial. TT in the business, as they call it. So what you would like to do is go to a flat surface, preferably a track, and you're going to warm up properly, whatever that may be. Everyone has depends on what level of fitness you're at, what is a proper warm-up for you. We can discuss that in another episode. But you need to be warmed up. Your goal is to cover as much distance as you can in the 10 minutes. You're tracking it either by the laps on a track or by your GPS watch, preferably the track or a known distance. So you want to have a very consistent 10-minute run. It should be uncomfortable at a certain point. In fact, probably within about 4 or 5 minutes, if you're doing it properly, it'll be uncomfortable. It won't be painful. Running is not painful. Running is just simply uncomfortable. I don't like the word pain associated with running. It doesn't make any sense. That's not pain. It's just the brain trying to trick you. It's the governor telling you to slow down. So we can turn off the governor. Whoever can turn off the governor the most is usually quite a good distance runner. So 10-minute time trial. you want to find out how much ground you cover in 10 minutes. And then from that, you're going to establish what pace that is. Once you know the pace that you held during that 10 minutes, the average pace, that will be your baseline. So let's say it's 6-minute mile pace. Let's say you averaged 6 minutes during the 10-minute time trial. And by the way, if your time trial, it needs to be consistent. What I mean by that is the first half and the second half, so the first 5 minutes and the second 5 minutes should not have a huge variance in pace. Yeah, you're more than likely going to slow down the second 5 minutes. But if you're slowing down by, I don't know, 3 or 4%, let's say 20, 30 seconds average pace, then you went too fast the first 5 minutes. Conversely, if you pick up the pace the last 5 minutes by more than a negative, 2%, let's say, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, if you all of a sudden run 30 or 40 seconds faster the second 5 minutes, that wasn't evenly paced either. So you can complete this 10-minute time trial more than once. In fact, you should probably do it 3 times over a month time frame, and just to kind of see where you're at, because every day is a different day. One day you may have better stuff versus another day. So no day, one day is just one day. It's, that's what I always tell clients when there is a performance or a run that didn't seem to go the way they wanted it to. I say, hey, just one day, you got the workout in, move on to the next day. Anyway, back to the 10-minute time trial. A 6-minute pace would indicate that you are capable of what? Well, a lot of people do not know these stats. And a lot of people don't like to be governed by stats. I completely understand that. However, in a reality world, runners' performances, there is stats. So let's say Eliud Kipchoge, world record marathon. Let's use the sub 2. The sub 2 that he ran, I think it's 4:35 per mile, versus the actual world record of the event when he was running with others on a not a point-to-point course. I think it was 4:38 per mile. So he has 10-minute time trial for him. Don't know what it is of late, but just a few years ago when he was track oriented, his 10-minute time trial, he possibly could run very close to 2 back-to-back sub 4-minute miles. So let's say it was 4 flat pace. I know some of you might not believe that's true, but do your research, you'll see that I'm not too far off. If it was 4 flat, that means he ran his sub 2-hour marathon at approximately 80, almost 88% of that pace. 88% of about 4-minute mile is about 4:35 mile pace. 88%. So does that mean that you can run 88% of your baseline? Not likely. And why is that? Because he was only out there 2 hours, and most of us, unless you are an elite, are going to be out there substantially longer. There's not a whole lot of sub 3-hour marathoners in Las Vegas and Henderson. I don't know how many there are, but maybe there's 20 people 25 in the entire town that can break 3 hours in a marathon currently. I don't know. It could be a little bit more, but it's certainly not more than 40 people. So, knowing that, the longer you're out there, the less percentage of your baseline will you be able to sustain. Just makes sense, but it's something people never think about. It's never factored into an equation, never factored into a lot of the pace charts that sometimes people say you're capable of based upon certain performances. Sometimes they don't factor it in, and I just confounds me how someone could not factor that in. So anyway, back to the 10-minute trial. 6 minutes was averaged by you. Great performance. Let's say you're capable of running 83% of that for a full marathon if you're properly trained. Let me get my calculator here. So you got your 360 seconds, you have to trust me on that, is 6-minute mile pace, divided by 0.83, which is 433 seconds. 433 seconds is 7 minutes and 13 seconds a mile. Times 26.2, we have a marathon of just under 3 hours and 10 minutes. That's very impressive. That would be a great day for most people. So there's an example. Person ran average 6 minutes for 10 minutes on a track or a very flat surface. That is a capability. Can they go faster? Possibly, yes. Maybe they're an endurance beast and they're going to get 85, 86% of that. Or maybe they're not and they're only going to get 78 to 80% of their baseline. No one knows for sure. So, but there is a window, is what I'm trying to give you. There is a window that we can rely upon to be fairly accurate to judge our performances by. I've always told clients, let me give you the window. I'm not trying to limit you, but let's use my window in my 45, almost 46 years of experience of geeking out over numbers and my running experience, and let's use that window. If for some reason I'm wrong, hey, I'd love to be wrong, and you show me, oh no, Brent, I can get it much higher. Well, that I would be very happy. I'd be happy because that means you're running faster if you can do better than what I've said. So personally, out of the 70 people or so that I've personally coached in Las Vegas, Henderson Valley, over the last, 11 years or so of individual coaching, I've had one person, a female, hit over 85%. And it was like a 345-hour marathon. This person is a person who had not much natural leg speed. She did not have good turnover, but she had a big engine. She ran a lot, and she was able to sustain a high level of her baseline for a long time. Myself personally, I was only able to obtain 81.75% in my last marathon that I've run, which is now almost ancient history, but 6.5 years ago. I was only able to attain that, which I've never been a great marathoner. 10K, half marathon was a better event for me. So you never know where you're going to fall, but there's a window for every race distance. If the race distance is 5K, most people are going to hit between 95 to 98% of their baseline as a 5K pace. If it's a 10K, they're going to hit between 90 and 93. If it's a half marathon, 86 to 89. Will people sometimes be outliers and go slightly above the numbers I just told you? Yes, it will happen, but it doesn't happen very often. So believe me, I've geeked out. One time I wrote down 150 world-class times of runners just to see what they did, and ended up being for the half marathon 10K distance. If you took these people, the window was less than 1% if you averaged it. 1%. And I based it upon runners that I had their 3K personal best for, is what I based it upon. 3K is also another indicator of your VO2 max pace, according to the exercise physiologist. And by the way, just in my opinion, exercise physiologists are almost always the best coaches. Why? Because they understand the body. There's a lot of great coaches out there who are motivators, and they're behind you, and they just have a can do attitude, and that is awesome. I'm not that. I get excited about running and I get excited about helping people, but I'm somewhat of a realist, and the older I get, I become more cynical and more realistic. So I'm not great with that, but if you want a baseline of and a program that's going to get you to the starting line versus not being at the starting line, meaning injuries and fatigue and burnout, I'm your person. So, if you don't need the rah, I'm the person to help you or one of the people to help you. There's lots of good coaches out there. There's lots of well-meaning, great coaches, and there's also a lot of people who coach who are very well-meaning, who don't know anything or know very little. So I'm going to cut it right now. I'm going to come right back, though, with another segment on my example and my thoughts on using your 10-minute time trial. Thank you. Talk to you soon.